Okay, so we are continuing on the precious garland of the Sublime path by Gampopa. First, I want to say, everyone, Tashidile, good morning, and as you should always be when we receive in Dharma or any kind of basically any kind of activity, and particularly what is related to the Dharma activity, and we always be supported by the three called the virtue as a beginning, virtue as a middle, and virtue as an end. So which is mean that virtue as a beginning mean that we have to make clear purpose of why we practicing Dharma and what reason. So as in the Buddhism we call the motivation. So there's three kind of motivations in the related to the Hinayana. It's called the motivation of renunciation, and related to the Mahayana is called the motivation of the bodhicitta, and related to the Vajrayana, and we have to be confident that we have the seed of Buddha nature, that which one we can wake up. So the reason this supported by those three motivation, we have to then our purpose of Dharma activity, hearing, contemplating, and meditation has become virtuous or meaningful or useful. So that we call the virtue as a beginning, and the virtue as a middle. Any kind of Dharma basically said virtue as a middle, as a free from conceptual, which is mean actually normally Dharma practice as whatever we do meritorious activities, if that meritorious activity is supported by compassion and emptiness, wisdom and method, it's become path to the liberation. If our virtuous activity is not supported by the wisdom and method or compassion and emptiness, then it's become what called path to the samsaric temporary benefit. So the reason whatever we do must supported by the those wisdom. Like if you read the jewel ornament, Gampopa said, without the wisdom paramita, other five paramita like generosity, morality, ethics alone cannot achieve as a nirvana or liberation. So achieving nirvana or liberation must need wisdom paramita. So the reason is two, whatever we do actually, in Dharma activities like hearing, contemplate, meditation, all those are method. That method is supported by the wisdom paramita of the emptiness, then it's become perfection. So like a perfection of generosity, perfection of morality, perfection of patience is supported by the true discriminative wisdom and primordial wisdom. If you read the jewel ornament, so so then that is the virtue as a middle. Then a conclusion with a dedication. We must dedicate it to complete enlightenment for benefit of sentient beings. If we dedicate it for the worldly benefit, like becoming rich and becoming famous or those, then what shortage comes, it will give you result of that, what you wish, but after that, then end. But if you dedicate it to the complete enlightenment, it will eventually, it will give you a complete enlightenment. The final result or complete result is it will give you enlightenment. But meantime, it will give you all those other benefit, like a long life, healthy, wealthy, whatever you wish, all those other wish will come true. Even you don't aim them, it will come. So that reason we must dedicate it to complete enlightenment. So those are generally any kind of enlightenment activity or dharma activity involved must be supported by these three virtues: virtue as a beginning, virtue as a middle, and virtue as an end. So last time we talked about the 10, there were 10 things that encouraging ourselves. Now today we're going to talk about the 10 way to good stairway. It means that kind of like a chorwa in Tibetan is said as a stray. It means kind of like a, I think a little bit like a extreme, maybe, or I don't know. Escape, so this is just kind of like go side, or that not there's some kind of shortage, I think can say. So what is the first one said? When your faith is feeble, but your intelligence sharp, you can stray into being a propaganda or platitude, which is mean that you have a really weak faith. Especially here is talking about the trusting faith. A really weak trusting faith. Something that really not really deep about our heart, we don't believe. But our knowledge is great. Then it's become, it's called here said propaganda or platitude. Propaganda or platitude, which mean the lip service. I think this is we can example, like normally we all talk about the faults of samsara, for example. I think pretty much everybody have the information how much suffering in the samsara. All those when we're counting those sufferings, but most of people don't react that way. We are really calm, we are really relaxed, we are really happy, and all those reaction will show up. So it's like our knowledge and our attitude is not really matching. If something is bottom of heart, you bothering something, you cannot show different attitude. Because our really weak of the belief of the faith is so weak, that way even we have the knowledge, we couldn't react same way. There's one Kadamba master in Tibet. I think his name is Lungritama. And he always have a sad face, long face. Then one day, one master said to him, everybody criticizing about you being long face, sad face. You cannot show the smile to anyone. You cannot, So he said, when I think about the faults of samsara, suffering of samsara, I couldn't react as a smiley or happy face. So that is I think somebody who bottom of their heart, when they can feel something, they can react, cannot react contradictory attitude, like a kind of like somebody who see the truest faults of samsara, have a good faith, then cannot enjoy, cannot show us a happy face. If you see someone who really have some problem in their life, you cannot see that person is enjoying, even you give them really good food or you give them really good show. So that is showing us we have a knowledge, lots of things about Dharma, but those knowledge is not always be kind of not really using, because we live as a different way. In the Tibetan, we have one kind of way to say, Lama always tell us don't do negative activities, but always be Lama enjoying those really what called the delicious meal which is made by meat. So if really deeply we believe in that negative activity is not good, then it's including that eating meat is not good too, but we couldn't live like what we say. So things like that, so when your faith is really feeble or weak, but the knowledge is great, then it's become pretty much like a lip service. So that reason is said you stray into the being a propaganda of a platitude. I think this is the same as a kind of like a just say things that you really don't believe, say things that really you don't feel yourself, but you're talking about. So in Tibet, I think they say one of the greatest learned receive teachings as one is called a translator called Wong Losawa. And at his age 51, he was in the Samye. And when he was passing, and he had some kind of regret about not get much chance to practice all those what he learned, So that way, I think this one is a basically Dharma is you have to bring to the balance, those two, like wisdom and faith. Faith means the trust, which is basically talking about the practice. So whatever you learn, you have to put on the practice. Without putting on the practice, whatever you learn is pretty much useless. So that reason this monk was one of the greatest. Actually, he was great knowledge. He even met with Adisha. Adisha had a discussion with him about the Dharma. So Adisha also really surprised, how great he was, how great he is that time, But I mean, later, then he himself kind of have regret of not get much chance to put it into practice all those what he learned. So point is here, whatever we learn, we have to put on the practice. So otherwise, it's become we become like a lip servicing, So that is what is I think stray, stray, yeah. Now second one said. Now second is opposite of that first one. It said, when your faith is strong but your intelligence weak, you can stray into the closed mind stubbornness. This one is a closed mind as stubbornness. As also you can translate into, you can stay away into self-inflicted pain, and the other one is called ate. Tsultrim in the Tibetan, Tsultrim means the kind of self-inflicted pain that we make ourselves painful for something that is, make us painful. And ate is a kind of like a fantasy. You can translate as a fantasy, you can translate as a fixation, or you can translate as a deep solidification, which is mean that some kind of stubborn, but never, doesn't matter. Never let it go what you something believe. So this is a not bad way to stubborn, but sometimes it causes to problem. I think sometimes Dharma practitioner lack of knowledge, and they when they go to retreat, they get really lots of fantasy or kind of with the stubborn minds, someone even not have a knowledge but try so hard, then it lots of time it causing to kind of like a mentally disturbed situation, like the mentally disturbed. Some people become kind of a little bit crazy because it's that kind of stubborn mind without the knowledge. So this is intelligent. It's not talking about some kind of great knowledge, scholarly, but whatever you're going to do, practice of the meditation, you have to have all the information what you're doing. Like also some people receive some kind of transmission and little instruction on the meditating on the emptiness, and they don't have a really complete understand on that, and they try to meditate lots of time. Also people have hard time, so that kind of get straight into the close-minded mean kind of like a like a something believe and deep solidification of something belief, then you couldn't let go that way. Then that is causing to, I think, like causing to problem in the long term their practice. So without the knowing of especially, I mean, those are talking about especially when you meditating on like a like a Mahamudra and those really need good information, good instruction, good guiding. Without all the good guiding and step by step, if you try to do by some kind of like a short instruction or some kind of a little information, then it's caused to actually later it become self inflicted pain as a difficulty challenge. So the reason this one is you need faith to trust, same time intelligent to understand. Those two are kind of like bring us together, without the faith, our trusting, we're not going to believe from the bottom of our heart, so that way we're not going to follow. But sometimes we try to follow, but we don't have enough information, enough knowledge of the intelligent. Then, as I say, even try to put so stubbornly, try to follow that one, but we make ourselves misery and not gain any kind of realization. So I'm not saying everyone this way, but someone who have a good education, and when those people go to the retreat, I think their improvement of the practice sometimes is really good, but even their improvement is not that great, but they not gain some kind of a they not get into the some kind of a, what call this agitation problem, like a mentally unstable balance, unstable minded is not never become. I never saw anyone, but some people without knowledge, with a little knowledge, and try to go to with a strong faith, try to go to retreat. And sometimes this kind of people have a little bit challenge with including the unstable mind. So I'm not saying everyone that way, because some people, they never study anything, but once they've gone to the retreat, they become really extremely great. So it's not always that way, but most of who educated one, I don't see, I haven't seen anyone who have that kind of challenge of mentally unstable. So the reason, these two, faith and intelligence or faith and wisdom, so those two are kind of like a combination. We have to bring together to, because intelligence alone cannot understand everything, especially when it comes to the like natural mind or absolute truth. Absolute truth, faith or intelligence alone we cannot get, but absolute truth, also faith alone, I don't think so can get without the guru's guiding of instruction of we receiving the knowledge and wisdom. So those two have to come together, your faith and guru's instruction together, then we will open that absolute nature of a mind, whatever we're meditating. So I think this reason, these two, those two have to be combination of together, have to work, faith and intelligence. Okay, then third one. When your perseverance is great, but you are lack oral instruction, you can stray into the mistaking or pitfall. So this one is a similar like that, is kind of continuing. What do it mean that sometimes we have a really perseverance or effort. Niru in Tibetan called the niru, which is mean the like a born in the heart, yeah, born in the heart, which is a really, no matter what happened, never giving up. Is that kind of you know, and whenever you get chance, you try to do that one continually. That's called perseverance here. That is great. So, but if you don't have enough oral instruction, so what is the here is oral instruction? Is it not just talking about the just receive some information, some teachings. This is an oral instruction. Is a have to be guru and a disciple have to be deep, understand each other. Guru must understand the disciples, label, and disciple must understand the guru's method. You know, they have a good understand each other. Like lots of sport, you know. If coach and the player have a good understand each other, it's much easier to communicate. When coach and player, they don't understand each other, then lots of time a problem comes. So similarly here, your guru is your coach, and you are the player of the practice. So what guru want you to do, you have to understand, and guru have to understand what is your capable, yeah, which way you can do. So with this understand of each other, is called mutual samaya. You know, guru and chela, guru and disciple is a mutual samaya. It means they understand each other. Then not going to be into the mistaking or pitfall. So otherwise, otherwise, if guru's instruction is not clear, or you don't understand the guru's instruction, then you try to practice, they always have a mistaking, sidetracking, misleading or misdirection. So it's just like a skillful guiding, guide you to the direction. You will never mistake to path. You will get exactly where you need to go. If that is, the what called a guide is not really good, or if you don't listen the guide's instruction, then you have a good chance to get into the mistaken place. So the reason here is so this one, even even we practice in the Vajrayana, which is the path of the Mahayana, skillfully practicing. Even we practice the highest yoga of Tantra, if we don't have a complete instruction, then those even the highest yoga Tantra cannot reach you as the nirvana. Like there was one story in India, one monk or one practitioner practicing Hevajra. Hevajra Tantra is the highest Tantra. Okay, what he get resolved was one streaming realization, one of the arhat. There's 4 kind of arhat: streaming, one returned, non-returned, and arhat. So there's a 4 kind of area. By practicing Hevajra deity, only achieve the one streaming result, which is the Hinayana path. So if you don't have a complete instruction from the guru, then they really have good chance to go to the, sometimes even it also can cause us to go to the wrong direction of maybe can born to the lots of time actually some is also born to the kind of an evil spirit because of the lack of the those method to how to practice them. So I think this reason when we're practicing, you need the oral instruction. What is the oral instruction? Is it from the beginning to, what is the preliminary? What is the actual practice? What is the conclusion? So those all detailed instruction we have to receive from the qualified guru. Then once we receive all those detailed instruction, then we'll put on the practice, then it's become great benefit. Otherwise, without the receiving complete detailed instruction, and we try to put on the practice that one, I think sometimes it can bring to the wrong direction, wrong result from that. Even the highest yoga deity cannot give you, nirvana. It can be caused to born to the even sometimes it's even can cause to the born to the evil spirit. So the reason guru's oral instruction. So what is the guru's oral instruction for the Dharma practitioner? Is it, not just only you receive you the some kind of empowerment, or not just only receive you the some kind of transmissions, or so you need instruction step by step. First you have to receive the instruction, then you have to try to understand yourself, make sure you understood correctly. But then second time, when you're having problem, then you have to discuss with the guru whatever you are having, good experience or bad experience. All those you have to discuss with the guru. Then guru give you the insight information or insight instruction on that. What if there is something you need to fix, guru will give you the fix. If they are not need to fix, then like when Milareва was leaving from the Marba gave him one piece of paper, rolling paper, and Marba said, right now you're ready to leave me, as you no longer need me anymore to receive instructions. So you can be your alone. But in the future, there will be one time you will get a difficulty. You get one difficulty. At that time, you should open this one, the piece of paper. Until that, you don't open this one. So Milareва had a small difficulty few times, but whenever he think maybe should I open this one, always he have some kind of vision or signs is not ready to open. But then one time he actually had some problem, and when he opened and that one, and there exactly Marba guiding, you will have this problem. At that time, you meditate this way or you do this way. Absolute, guiding there. So that kind of oral instruction means we have to receive all those, from the beginning to until we become our own capable to live our own. Like so I think this is like a, you know, when kids from the birth to until they become immature, that they can survive themselves, parents have to take care. Yeah, once they become their own, you know, stable their life with their own, then parent can retire or they can go away also. So this like a, you know, legally age is like 18 or 20. Yeah, legally age is 20. So until 20 or 18, kids now become immature enough to they can take care of themselves. So parents responsibility to have to look that. After that, then parents don't have to take responsibility. So similar that way is a, when Dharma practitioner, once you get to into the, you know, somebody accept you as a guru, and you that person, you are that person's a student, then both have a responsibility, you know. So until you become what called independent, yeah, of the Dharma practice, can say I think independent, but that you can do by yourself, you know, you can be okay alone by alone. Until that, guru's responsibility is make sure you not go to into the called the stray into the mistaking or pitfall path. So that is the guru's responsibility. So how guru protect you from that that kind of faults is by oral instruction. So the reason not perseverance or not effort alone is not good enough if you don't have a guru's oral instruction, you know. So the reason we must rely on the reliable guru, and you know, once you find that reliable guru, until you become yourself as a mature enough to practice Dharma, if you possible, you stay near that guru, not too close with the guru, but that you have anytime you need the access, you stay there. So I think that is what it means. Is those two. Number three. Okay, now number four. When you don't first dispel misconceptual thought through hearing and contemplation, your meditation can stay into being source of ignorance. So this one is a you know, if you want to practice anything, like for example, you want to do mantra practice, okay? So if you want to do the mantra practice, first what you have to do is you have to start with the guru. You try to go through the text. Guru teacher will give you the instruction, and you try to read yourself few times and try to understand, you know, step by step. Make sure you are you understood correctly. If you don't have those all information, and especially this is talking about someone who you know, go to the isolated place, you know, you receive the, like this day is called the closed door retreat. So if you really want to go to closed door retreat, you must study. This study is nothing have to do with the scholarly study or anything. So whatever you want to practice, you must understand all that meaning of your subject, like as I mentioned the mantra. Or if you want to do any kind of meditation, any kind of practice. Otherwise, when we are alone in the retreat place, or we alone in the isolated place, then whenever, especially when there's some problem and we don't have a method how to solve that problem, how to so then it's all become a kind of like increasing or what called confusion. Confusion of is called deeper and deeper and deeper. So that mind is become a really kind of like a closeness of a deep that have a I don't know how to say this one, but something that sometimes we think so we really doing good practice, but it's kind of and become more and more close to the ignorance. So which is mean that you may do the retreat, you may go to the retreat, and you may do some kind of meditation, but that meditation is not come with awareness, come more like darkness, nothingness, kind of like a close-minded. So which is here without the support of the wisdom, and sometimes meditation can bring to the more like ignorance. So the reason you need awareness or support of the wisdom. So that way, I think make sure understand is good. So then misconception to is not going to be there. When misconception is not going to be there, then you're not going to have the ignorance. Otherwise, sometimes our that misconception, misunderstand, and from that to bring into the deeper ignorance. Like for example, for formless realm. For formless realm is one of the deepest ignorance, can say deepest ignorance, because they don't have any kind of awareness of the mind. They have any kind of knowledge of in the mind of whatsoever. So that is some kind of ignorance, even the formless realm. So those are actually formless realm is born because of the misunderstanding of the view. So they think view or view mean like oh, there's a nothing, all the phenomena like space, all the phenomena like mind. So they have that kind of conceptual. That conceptual is bring into the deep kind of darkness of the mind without any kind of awareness. That way they're born into the state of the formless realm. Once they're born in the formless realm and they stay in that absorption, some kind of deep absorption, and without that kind of awareness of knowledge, then they stay there so long, but they have no idea they are in there that long. And once they, that when they awake from that absorption and they burn out all their good karma, and then they have some kind of a misunderstanding. First, they thought that is in nirvana, but that's not really nirvana. That's a kind of deep absorption, and they have what called wrong view of not believing nirvana anymore. So that wrong view caused them to reborn back to the low realm. So this reason when we do meditation, must supported by the wisdom awareness of understanding. So once understood through the hearing or contemplate, then misconception is go remove or misconception, free ourselves from the misconception. Once misconception, we free our mind is a misconception, then meditation is become with the awareness. So with the wisdom, and then it not get into the deep ignorance. So the reason we have to make sure, have to study. I think this means the hearing and contemplation, and make sure you understood correctly. Okay, then number 5. When you don't bring fresh understanding into the realm of experience, you can stay into the being of insensitive spiritual aspect. So this one is I think when you hear at that fresh, whatever you understood, you have to put on practice. Realm of experience mean the practice, whatever you understand. If we don't put into the practice, if you don't put on the practice whatever we understand, then we become insensitive. I put it as insensitive in the Tibetan called the Tekpo Chujuken. Tekpo means someone is no matter what happened, they don't have a feeling, such feeling, kind of. Even somebody they see, really misery, suffering, so much suffering, they don't have any sympathy. When somebody sees they have so much kind of like problems, they don't have any kind of feeling of want to help or anything. So in the Tibetan, we said Chöti means the Chöki Tekpa. It's a debo. I think it's insensitive. I use as in the translation as at that time. Maybe I will find different translation. I'm not sure. So this is resistant to Dharma. I'm not sure, resistant to Dharma. Resist or insensitive. I use as insensitive, but as some dictionary they use in resist. So we have Tibetan way to say it. Insensitive aspect of the spiritual or Dharma, mind one, cannot liberate by Dharma. Like example, the leather which is covered to the butter, which really hot, become really hot. That leather cannot make soft by the butter. Normally, hard leather, if you put the butter, it becomes really soft. But that leather cannot soft by the butter because that leather live with the butter forever, but still so hard because it become hard with the butter. When put it around the butter, it's soft. But then with butter, it's dry and become really hard. So once it becomes really hard, because it becomes hard with the butter, even you put on them butter, it never becomes soft. Similarly, when you become insensitive of mind with the Dharma, no matter how much teaching give to them, it never becomes sensitive or some kind of feeling, never come feelings. So that is a reason is because we don't put immediately on practice whatever we understood from the, whatever we receive the teachings, fresh one. So it's like when some kind of flowers growing, fresh one. At that time, if you not take care, giving water and have good temperature and moisture, it will dry. So similar like that. So that way, this whatever we hear, then try to put on the practice. You don't have to wait until you go to the 3-year retreat. Put it on the practice. It's every day, whatever you hear, just put on that experience as a practice. I mean, if you look at Gampopa, he only spent 2 years with the Milarepa, I think 2 or 3 years. But most of the day, every day he received teachings, Milarepa. When he go back to his residence or hut, or the cape, wherever it is, and he put on practice all today's received teaching, put on practice tonight. Then whatever he had experienced, tomorrow morning early, he go to see his guru and discuss with that. Then guru give the instruction, if there's some mistake, and then he go back to the one put on practice. So that is how whatever we receive the instruction, have to fresh that one, put on practice, much easier than try to do later. So okay, so this one is in Tibetan we call the debo. Debo is in the, I think most of, yeah, idiot, insensitive, stubborn person, or savage, wild man, something like that. Resistant, or recalcitrant, something, I don't know. But I thought this one is a word is used as insensitive is better for the meaning, because we don't become, from sometime when we don't practice the Dharma and we receive teaching again and again and again, and it no longer you don't go to feel anything when receiving those teachings, and also sometimes, when you have experience whatever and put that practice immediately is better than just try to repeat something again and again in your head, and sometimes it's harder. Like when I was in the retreat, I tried to meditate on the 4 training of the mind. First few days I can feel some, by meaning of that meditation, but after the few days then it become like a regular. So it's just become normal, regular, kind of like an insensitive way. But then come to the reality with that knowledge of what I understood during the retreat, and reality will come out, and then we see as a reality of those in the samsara, then it's much easier to can feel that, it become really sensitive matter for ourselves more than before. So those meditation can help, but also it's much more sensitive meaning or matter to our life if we freshly can there experience something. So I think that reason when we're receiving some kind of instruction, best way how to can bring into ourselves is immediately try to put on practice whatever we receive. Then we can stay in the sensitive. I think can say this word. Okay. When you don't bring, number 6. When you don't train your mind in the great compassion, the method aspect your path can stay into the lesser vehicle. So this is it. We have to train our mind into great compassion. Most of the time, great compassion as a method, great compassion as a method is talking about the bodhicitta. This great compassion means that generally everyone have some degree of compassion. You're not going to find any beings who are completely lack of compassion. Because we all sharing same nature, which called the Buddha nature. Long as have the Buddha nature, the sign of a Buddha nature is some degree of compassion. It's the sign of a Buddha nature. So everyone have some degree of compassion. But great compassion is only Bodhisattva. Great compassion means that you love every sentient being equally with equanimity. So that reason, I think maybe lots of our past master saying is when you practicing for immeasurable, when counting, then we say the love, compassion, joy, equanimity. Equanimity come last. But when put on the practice, first start with the equanimity. How do we start with the equanimity? Is when you're loving, you must love everyone equally. You're not less love to your enemy. You're not more love to your dear one. Like how Buddha loved equally Devadatta of his cousin troublemaker and his biological son Rahul. One day Buddha got injured his foot, and a physician tried to stop bleeding, couldn't stop. No matter what kind of bandage put, couldn't stop the bleeding. So Mahakashyapa said, if this is true, that Buddha's heart have equal compassion or love to both Devadatta and Rahul, stop this bleeding. So when he said that one, immediately stopped. That is showing us how Buddha's feeling toward to the equality of toward to the person who every day since his birth try to make him failure or miserable, and someone who he dear to his child have equally love both of them, Devadatta, and so that's like you can love both enemy and dear one. Make sense? Then when one day when we can love every sentient beings, I mean generally when we talk about the every sentient beings, it's a really big number, but practically just in front of us. Some people drive you crazy, some people you really make you pleasure. If you can love both of them equally, no less, no more, then you have a equanimity love. That love is called a great love, and also that compassion. And from that love to come whatever compassion is it, compassion called the loving kindness and compassion, great one. So this is the method of bodhicitta. Has come from the bodhicitta. So that way, this only Bodhisattva can have this great compassion. So that great compassion is the method aspect. If you lack of a method aspect of the great compassion toward every sentient beings, your path, no matter what you practice, it becomes a lesser vehicle. You practice the Mahayana practice, you practice the Vajrayana practice. As earlier I mentioned, in India, when Odisha come to Tibet, anyone come from India, he ask them to information in India, what is big news right now, what is it, what is what's big topic discussion in India. Of course, that time there is no like what called the technology to send the message or send the video or send the phone call or anything. So only have to wait when somebody come or someone goes there. They can bring the message. So anyone come from India, Adisha always asks what is the big news in India. Then one time they said in India there's one person practicing the Anuyoga Tantra. I think this is the same as a whole person who practiced the Hevaja Tantra, and that person is become receive only stream way faith result, path result. So that reason, as even we practicing the high yoga tantra, lack of a bodhicitta, that means that directly lack of a bodhicitta, and we'll use the high yoga practice. There's also dangers comes. Lamkhe Rinpoche, Guru, he said, without the bodhicitta, if we practice the peaceful deity, we have a really good chance to can be reborn in the Garland. Like it's a skill in the samsara. But if we practice the wrathful deity, it's to have a really good chance to can be reborn in the evil spirit. So those wrathful deities have a great power, but great power have a great responsibility too. Without the taking responsibility, that power is satisfied and can bring to the evil spirit. So that reason is without a great compassion method aspect, your path can stay into that lesser vehicle. This is that someone is a skill is a good lesser vehicle, stay in the lesser vehicle, much better than born in the evil spirit or God one. So the reason, this reason generally practice, and especially Vajrayana practice, must emphasizing on the bodhicitta. Without the bodhicitta, Vajrayana is even not become a Mahayana path. So that way, this monk who practicing the Anuyoga Tantra Hevaja deity, but still only can reach to the one streaming result of Arya. So this reason have to be emphasized on the great compassion of bodhicitta as a method aspect for the practicing into the great vehicle, and which is a great vehicle mean the Mahayana and the Vajrayana. Then on the other hand, when you don't train your mind in the emptiness, the wisdom aspect, whatever you do can stay into the way of samsara. As earlier I mentioned. Like there's a 6 paramita. In the Mahayana path, there's 6 paramita. The 6 paramita have a wisdom and method. Generosity, moral ethic, patience, perseverance, meditative concentration is a method. wisdom is the wisdom. Wisdom paramita is the wisdom. If those all the generosity, moral ethic is not supported by the wisdom, is only called the generosity, not the transcendent. Or paramita. Paramita means the gone beyond. Only it can become a paramita or gone beyond or transcended if it is supported by the wisdom. So if you want to learn this about this more, what kind of wisdom is it, you read the jewel ornaments chapter of generosity, end of the chapter of generosity, and it's becoming perfection. How to become a perfection is through the support of a discriminative wisdom and primordial wisdom. If you read that one, and you will understand. So when generosity, act of generosity supported by the discriminating and the primordial wisdom, it can become a generosity paramita, transcendent of generosity, which is mean that the generosity act of generosity is becoming path to the gone beyond. What is gone beyond? Mean that beyond the samsara. So that reason, without the wisdom, other method aspect cannot eliminate the root of samsara. Like a meditation, for example, meditation. Meditation, like shamatha meditation or kamabhati meditation. Meditation decrease our emotion, negative emotion. Sometimes it looks like almost completely washed away, but not uprooted. You know, if we want to be uprooted source of samsara with afflicted emotion, we need the support by the wisdom. So wisdom means the realization of emptiness or such. So I think this wisdom as a support of or bring into the complete path of nirvana is by can say wisdom. Okay, so the reason here said when your mind says don't train your mind into emptiness, the wisdom aspect, whatever you do is straight into the samsara. So as I already said, so for example, generosity only can give you the worldly kind of wealth, become only wealthy, but still in the samsara. Moral ethic only reborn in the higher realm alone, but still in the samsara. Being patient, they give you some kind of result, but still in the samsara. None of them can liberate you from the samsara without the wisdom paramita. So that way Gampopa said 5 paramita. Generosity, truth, mental concentration. Without the wisdom is like a bunch of blind people. Have a leg but no eye. Because if you don't have an eye, you don't know how to go to where you want. So you're just wandering around and around and around without getting to the destination. So those all, like bunch of blind people can get to their destination if they are led by one with eye. So wisdom paramita is with the eye, lead all the other paramita to the nirvana, destination of the nirvana. So this reason, this emptiness is talking about the wisdom. Or sometimes we use emptiness, sometimes we use a suchness, sometimes we use as a wisdom in the Buddhism. So it means that knowing the nature of reality. So without the knowing of that, it cannot be uprooted. So I think meditative consultation is like burning the jungle. When the jungle is burned with fire, many years there will be no jungle. There are no forest, no tree, yeah, no grow anything, many years. But if you wait long enough, after many years, and start slowly start growing other things like a tree, grass, bushes, anything start growing. Why after so many years it grow? Because still the seed or root is still there. That fire cannot destroy that root. So same thing as material concentration cannot destroy the root of samsara unless you have a realization of the emptiness. When you have a realization of the emptiness, then it will it will uproot it, from the bottom of the root can be liberated from the samsara. So in the Shanti, there was a way Bodhisattva conduct. Here said, so there's one argument. Some, Hinayana said, you only liberated by seeing the truth, not the emptiness. But Shantideva said, Buddha said, without the realization of the wisdom emptiness, seeing truth enough is not good enough. Because you can see the truth of the relative truth. By seeing the relative truth cannot liberate you from the samsara. You must see the absolute truth if you want to see the samsara, free yourself from the samsara. So the reason here said, without the mind into emptiness, wisdom aspect, no matter what we do, it becoming, we still stuck in the samsara. When you don't equalize in the eight worldly concern, whatever you do can stay into the embellishing worldly life. Or ornament of the worldly life, I think. So this one is it. We have to, our mind, equalize the eight worldly concern. What does the equalize mean? So don't have this kind of, when somebody praise you, becoming happy. When somebody criticizes you, becoming upset. Don't have that kind of mind. That is called the equalize the worldly concern. Because longest our mind is caught up with that, no matter what we do, we feeding that emotion. Even in the Dharma practice, we are feeding that emotion. Long as we feed that emotion, we never be free from the worldly concern, free from the samsara. Even we're doing practicing Dharma, it's becoming part of the samsaric So that reason, I think we have to train our mind into the, what called equalize of eight worldly concern. So this eight worldly concern detail will show up next Tuesday, maybe sometime on Tuesday in the a letter to friend. When we gain something, become happy. When we lost something, we get sad. When somebody praise you, become happy. When somebody criticizes on you, become sad. So that kind of a situation, whatever make you your emotion disturbed by those, that's become worldly concern. So long as we have that kind of emotion, the concern, we cannot be free from worldly. No, because those two are attachment and aversion. When somebody praise you, you become happy. That's called attachment. When somebody criticizes you, you become angry or upset. That's called aversion. These two are the main source of samsara. Why those two are the main source of samsara? I say, long as you have these two, you are not free from suffering. Long as you're suffering, you are samsaric. So if you want to be free from suffering, you have to equalize those two. You have the same feeling. So when Bodhisattva, because they learn how to equalize these two, even someone is give a massage on one leg and someone is cutting by knife other leg, they can feel same way because of the equalizing meditation, you know. So that reason we have to be equalizing 8 worldly concern, and we can become our path, whatever we do, Dharma practice is becoming method to the liberation. Otherwise, no matter what we do, it's become worldly life. We are concentrating on the worldly lives, so there's no really hope of liberation by doing that one. For this one, you become equalizing the 8 worldly concern, or you are feeding to your devil of 8 worldly concern. Is only you yourself can judge on that. No one can tell you are equalizing or feeding to that 8 worldly concern. So we have to be ourselves aware of what we're doing, what how we're doing best. And so I think we have to be ourselves, have to be honest ourselves with. So that way, Lord Buddha said, you are your own what called the Lord, and you are your own savior. So especially from within this 8 worldly concern, fame is really difficult to give up. Everyone is hungry with fame. Everyone wants to be famous. Sometimes, even the people who supposed to be, run away from those kind of concern and renounce, but they couldn't let go of that part. Still hunger with that. And they try everything to make sure they're secure with that kind of fame, fortune. They try to protect their own reputation. For them, that's really important. So the reason, if we want to be sincerely, want to be follow to the path which is shown by the Buddha, first is make sure, step by step, because sometimes people, for the fame and fortune, they try to do everything. So I'm not sure it's really healthy, long-termly good for lineage or anything. So I don't know. I'm not the person who can say anything good or bad or anyone else except myself. So I try myself on that whatever I can. Sometimes I cannot, and it's my own miserable problem. When you receive the great deal of respect from the townspeople, you can stay into the granting yourself with the public. In granting, INGRATIATING. Ingratiating.
Ingratiating.
Ingratiating. So I think it's just like kind of like a, you know, one time I was talking to someone about the program, and I said maybe this program is good for us. Then that person said, you cannot say what this is good or not. You have to say what other want. So it's just like a business deal, you know. So that way, I don't know it's necessary or not. So I think what I can say is don't lose your independence. Don't lose your freedom. You know, then one day when you become have to listen everything what they want, then you have no freedom. Sometimes it happens because you don't want to lose that your student, you don't want to lose that your sponsor, you don't want to lose that your this and that, your income or source. Then you have to please them. And how you please them is you try to listen whatever they want. You know, then then it's become really bad for the long term your practice. Make sense? So the reason. And also, I mean, it's not necessarily this kind of fame is not necessarily good for your continuing meditation or practice. Sometimes those kind of fame and is actually can become cause to more problem and long termly, you know. So when Milareva's sister come to see Milareva, and she was when she was begging on the street, there was one lama giving teaching, and he had so many regional. He's sitting really fancy throne and have decorated really beautifully, and lots of people show him respect, and so really fancy way, and she come to see Milareva, who have nothing, even have enough clothes, you know, so miserable life. So she said, you know, two of us, one of the most miserable in the samsara. I have nothing, you know, I have to survive myself by begging food for every day. And I thought you joined to the Dharma long time. I thought you become a really high lama or something, you know. But you are worse than here. I want to be, you know, I will introduce with this lama. I will ask this lama to take you to one of the servant. I mean, even you don't have it. He's a servant's, you know, situation. You know, this lama's a servant is a much better than your situation. I never saw miserable practitioner like you. So Milareva said, if really I want to, you know, that kind of livelihood, I can do better than him, but that is not going to bring me to the, you know, into the, you know, spiritual path to the liberation. So that way I'm running away from that. So if you look at Milareva's life story, it's not just only lip service, because every time when he become more popular in that area, he ran away for somewhere else. Until he can run, most of earlier life, he ran away, you know. I mean, never stay one place. When people like a hunter and, you know, people who come to take care of the animal, they come near him and they annoy him and they're talking to him, and then slowly they realize he was great, and they tell him to the town people, and town people started visiting him. He ran away from there. Because if he not run away, then the town people come to worship, pay homage him, and they slowly they're going to ask him to, oh, I have this problem, can you solve this problem? I have this problem, can you do this ritual, this prayer? And you're busy to be trying to solving the others' problem, but you have no time to solve your own problem. I think these days most of us are like that, running here and there without taking time for ourselves, So that is it. Actually, I'm not sure this kind of livelihood is really healthy or not for the spiritual practitioner. But sometimes your karma. So one time Khenpo Tsultrim told me, in Tibetan we said, when you're karmically, you become a butcher, you cannot say this is sinful action. You have no choice. You have to act as a butcher. It would mean they have to kill the animals. So he said, now you karmally you bring here, so you have to do that one. So otherwise, it's no good. So I was telling him something that that's what Khenpo Tsultrim answer was. So that way sometimes it will become in this way. So some kind of bad karma, maybe we did something past life, and we never have chance to ourselves to concentrate ourselves to always try to do something for other. I mean, I'm not sure this is a healthy way to do for others' benefit or not. So, but I don't know. So this is what it is. Then last one is when your knowledge and power are significant, but your mind is unstable, you can stay into the becoming the performer of ritual for the townspeople. I think these two are similar. So actually, this kind of situation and Buddhism is become Lamaism, then spiritual path is losing, and we become a magician. Yeah, we believe the power, we believe that kind of. Then once believe in that, people follow to the person, not the Dharma. So if you look Buddha's lifetime, there are two monks begging food on the street. When they begging food in the street, and those people, town people said, you guys are laziest people, don't want to work, that way join to this community. So you get every day beg food that you don't need to cook, you don't need to make, you don't need to work hard to create those food. So said, if you really be truly, sage, who have a special power from inside from the meditation, then I will, what called test on you. So they put a small pillar. On the top of the pillar, the begging bowl. Said, without touching this pillar, if you bring down the pillar, a bowl, we will accept you as a sage, and we will continue to support you. Otherwise, you are really kind of like a fake and a lazy people, so no longer welcome here. And then those monks try to walk away, and those people continually criticizing to them, and they even not just criticizing to those monks, they criticizing Buddha. They say your teacher also, him, Gautama, is a lazy one who bring all those men to this kind of society to, and destroying our society to, that all the men take away from that work. So they couldn't take that. They said it's okay to criticize to us, say whatever bad things about us is okay, but you cannot say to our guru, the Buddha. So they couldn't. So then one monk showed the miracle power. He fly and bring the begging bowl down without attaching to the pillar. Then they come to see Buddha, and Buddha was really disappointed with those two monks. And Buddha said, Whatever they say bad things about me, it's not bothering me. Since I'm not bothering you, why you bother up that from that, you know? So why I don't want people to show monk to show that this kind of miracle and magical power, you see, because once you start showing this one and people stop following to the Dharma, people will start follow to the person. The day people stop following to the Dharma and start following to the person will degenerate the Dharma. So that reason, Buddha said, I want to be every sentient beings continually follow to the Dharma, not the person. Because I mean, nowadays, especially in the Vajrayana, I think from Theravada too, we have this kind of aspect of that person, such and such person have strong power. When they do blessing or they do prayer or whatever, it changes your situation. So you treat them as a creative God. So Lord Jedasungun said, this is a wrong view of believing. When somebody did to you something bad, and that person is the cause of your suffering. When somebody did to you something good, and you believe that person is a cause to your success, that means that you believe in the creator, not the cause and condition of karma. So that is a jebe lokta. It means that created by someone. Like when we, normally when somebody says something to do something to us, we get really upset. Then we said, this person treated me to this to me. We blame on that person 100%. If you don't have a karma to receive that one, even that person want to do, you never will receive that one. To this, your karma and that person's condition work together to create your miserable. Also, same thing as when some lama do the prayer. Sometimes it works, sometimes doesn't work. Why? Because if you have a root of a virtue which is support that lama's prayer of the condition, then yes, it'll work. But if you don't have any kind of a merit and a virtue, no matter how high lama pray you, they cannot do anything. Make sense? So that reason. But sometimes we have this kind of belief of the, not like a, believing in God who created us. That kind of, we don't have the belief. But we have some degree of that someone is the responsible. Can say? Someone is the responsible, someone is the main cause to you have this good or bad experience. Always give the credit to the someone else. Like since ourselves are not involved on that. So I think this is a not completely wrong view of not believing, but it's a kind of like some kind of wrong view, which is believing in the creator. Make sense? So that reason we must avoid from that kind of. So these are the 10 ways to get stray. Okay, then 10 things to be that are easily mistaken. First, is it possible to mistake desire to devotion? Desire and devotion is really close, really similar. But those two are, one is a desire, is a come from the afflicted emotion, and devotion is a which is the negative emotion, and devotion is the you know, so especially this but I think this is a sometimes we have a more desire to the our guru, our community, our lineage, then we think that is the devotion. Make sense? So that I think those two are really similar. It's difficult to distinguishing what is actually desire and what is actually devotion. So desire bring to the attachment, aversion, yeah, and the devotion bring to the faith and wisdom. Result is totally different. But I think lots of time our is not a devotion, it's a desire. Also, I think one thing is we can say is a desire is to come from the self-interest. Devotion is to come from the selfless interest. Can say when ourself is put first, then lots of time it's a come desire. But also, His Holiness the Dalai Lama kind of said some degree of desire is necessary for achieving the nirvana. So, so the same things Lord Jidasungha also said, you know, self-cherishing is the method to or accumulating merit with the self-cherish is a skillful method. So I think from the beginner needs some kind of like that, you know. You can say, oh, this is my lineage, this is my temple, this is my guru, this is, I think some kind of need. But then slowly you have to be, you know, more like a devotion, not a desire. So truth is a, you know, if I think this is what I believe, if whatever this devotion or desire is coming and slowly it's increasing, same time it's increasing your emotion, then it comes from the desire. But when this is increasing, more increasing that emotion, and you become a less and less discussive thought or negative emotion, then it's come from the devotion. So I mean, like a renunciation, as a wishing to be Buddha. Wishing that is it, you cannot say it's a devotion or desire. Absolutely. Make sense? It's difficult, actually. It's really difficult to distinguishing those two. When you're wishing to become a Buddha, is that a desire or is that a devotion? I mean, we should think about that. I think maybe today we'll stop there. Think about this one and just stop that one. Then we can go to next week, maybe hope go to more. Chanchu sem joy rempoche manje banai je joy je pai nyam pai mem pai Tata seje danje nyondo nana nama yanda ba zobe janjo rambo jo toba jo je sheja goze kunje je dende nana wanda de bomba jembe je tamba se shejo de sa gombe zenju ji citing